Hey, what's up, guys? Bajheera here. All right, this is it. This is the big one. Shadowlands class updates number 1. The unpruning begins. So this might be a little bit of a long video, so bear with me on this one. I would like to go through pretty much all of the class updates that they've talked about in this little post they made. Not little post, pretty substantial post they made about their philosophy for classes, kind of what they have in mind, and some of the key elements of all the classes that they've sort of put together so far. And as always with any of these like pre-alpha updates, there's a lot that will likely change, but I think it's still really exciting, so I'd like to dig into it and share it with you. So as Azeroth champions prepare to traverse into the Shadowlands, they will gain powers both new and forgotten to take on horrors that reside in the realms of death. This is the Shadowlands class philosophy. So classes have evolved through WoW's 15-year development, and so have our philosophies on class design. With new expansions and an increasing level cap came new spells, abilities, and talents. While earning new powers is exciting and a natural part of growth in a role-playing game, eventually we began to butt up against the limits of an action bar and accessible keybind space. Hey man, just gotta get yourself a Corsair Scimitar, dude. Plenty of binds on that bad boy. And many of the tools and perks that had once defined certain classes became increasingly widespread, diminishing class uniqueness. To address this, in the past, we made changes to talents with Mists of Pandaria, even removed several abilities in Warlords of Draenor. So, like, I know what they mean. Like, eventually, like, every class had a stun, every class had a kick, every class had, like, a gap closer. So I see what they're saying here. In Legion, alongside the introduction of artifact weapons, we focused on class identity and carving out a distinct fantasy for each specialization to go along with their weapon. Mechanically, this meant revamps to most of our specializations, removing several long-standing class-wide abilities and adding new spec-specific abilities in the process. So this makes sense to me. I know that they really added a lot of stuff, and Mists of Pandaria had like the most abilities, and then Warlords really kind of pared things down. And then in Legion, they kind of built things back up again. And in BFA, I felt BFA still felt a little bit like barren for some class. I think Warrior in particular kind of feels like hollow. Even though it's like it does a lot of damage and it's a class that I love, it still feels like we're playing like half a class. And I think they're addressing that. So for today in Battle for Azeroth, while specializations have unique and flashy abilities, we've heard feedback that in some cases we've moved too far away from the core of the class that initially sparked players' interest when they first created their character. At times, there is more that divides two specializations of the same class than there is that unites them. So I'm not really worried about like specs feeling super different. I don't really mind arms feeling different than Fury. The issue is that like so much of Warrior's utility is tied up in talents and it's divided up. Like Warrior utility was like given to other classes and then divided up and put into talents that we had to choose. And then that sucks. So hopefully they'll address that. In Shadowlands, we want to return to the idea that a specialization is about powering up a specific part of a class's kit, not narrowing down their tool set. In an expansion that is all about choice, we also want to give players more opportunities to make impactful choices, to customize their gameplay and express their own vision of how their characters engage in combat. Many specialization-specific abilities and spells that help define the identity of a class will once again be available class-wide, which is very exciting. And we're reintroducing some iconic abilities to give all of Azeroth's heroes a fighting chance against the dangers ahead. In addition to these changes, players will have their new Covenant class abilities to look forward to, which we preview comprehensively in our Shadowlands Look at Covenant class and signature abilities blog, which we already posted yesterday. So you guys go check that out if you haven't yet. Got a lot of Shadowlands stuff coming soon, guys. Very exciting. Today we give you a look at some of what is in store for each class, including our overall goals, some cool, new, and returning powers, some key changes to abilities and talents. This isn't meant to be a comprehensive list of updates. These changes represent a starting point for a dialogue with the community, but this should give you a good overview of what to expect. So, this post starts with Death Knight, but we must. We cannot wait till the very last to get Warrior, so we're going to start with Warrior, okay? Here we go. My favorite class. You guys know how this works. So we'll start with Warrior, and then we'll go back and take a look at everything else. But Warrior, clad in heavy armor and wielding brutal weapons, it's often forgotten that warriors are also hybrids, equally adept at dealing damage and protecting their allies in the front line. Very, very important stuff. We want to restore utility to all three warrior specializations by bringing back many iconic abilities that are useful across the game. Yes, please. In addition, several talents have undergone revision for each spec to increase build diversity and gameplay variety. So we'll have to take a look at the talents and see how these all play out. But here are some really, really cool things that I'm very happy about. So check this out. Warrior class and specialization changes. General changes are execute, hamstring, ignore pain, shield block, shield slam, slam, spell reflection, and whirlwind are now available to all warriors to use regardless of their active specializations. So that's pretty neat. So like arms can use ignore pain, shield block, shield slam. Like I wonder what shield slam like is gonna do for a warrior like in arms specialization or fury. And I'm hoping that spell reflection is currently available to all warriors regardless of their active specialization. Like if they mean it's available for arms, fury, and prot, you can get it for all those things, but it's tied into an honor talent. So what I hope this means is that it's not an honor talent anymore, and you just have spell reflect. That would be really, really lovely, because there's no reason that spell reflect should be an honor talent. That should be baseline. But I also like the idea that ignore pain, like arms warrior can either have a self heal to address its squishiness, or it can just have like a damage mitigation effect. And I think that actually makes even more sense for arms. Like arms doesn't really have a self heal, but has a lot of mitigation, right? Maybe fury has some self healing, but can still ignore pain. That'll be pretty cool. Also, challenging shout and intervene are returning. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for intervene, man. This was on my list above shattering throw, above everything. Being able to intervene to your teammates, to take CC from them, intervening blinds, kidney shots, cheap shots. You can intervene shattering throw. That used to be able to do that. That was sick. You can make some really cool plays with intervene, or you can just scoot around the map faster. Like if you know, you're hitting enemy team's healer in twos, and then their DPS is on your healer, and you want to quickly, you know, fear and intervene back to your healer to do like a quick swap and do damage to their DPS that are hitting your healer. Intervene felt so good, and that's going to really help the mobility issue that I feel like warriors sometimes struggle with. That's like number one on my list that I'm most excited for. And hopefully we'll have like a talent for safeguard where our teammates can take less damage when we intervene to them. I'm so excited for that one. And all warriors can use them to turn the tide of battle, so that's super cool. Shattering Throw is also back with a new twist. It will deal devastating damage against foes protected by an absorption shield. So I don't know if that means like it no longer breaks immunities, or it just breaks immunities and will also deal damage to like remove a shield for like monk cocoons or something like that. So that's pretty interesting. Lastly, Double Time and War Machine can now be utilized by all specializations as a talent. So I'm pretty sure all specs could have Double Time before. I don't know if everybody could have. I'm pretty sure everybody could have War Machine. Maybe not Prot. Maybe that's just a Prot thing. But I'm not really sure about that. We'll have to sort of see what what all looks like when it's all laid out in the talent tree. But I think a massive overhaul for Warrior talents is probably something that needs to happen. But hopefully we'll get access to Alpha and we can kind of provide some feedback for that. But from what I'm seeing so far with Warrior, like, very, very cool stuff. I'm wondering, like, if some of these things, like Shield Slam, you know, maybe we don't use that as much as arms, but we have access to it. If we wanted to, like, swap into a one-hander and shield, that's another thing. We're probably gonna need a one-hander and shield now as warriors. So maybe they'll reduce the like the GCD for swapping weapons so that we can like swap weapons more fluidly. That'd be fun too. And I also wonder what's gonna happen with stances, since some of these abilities like shield block, shield slam usually would probably be like a defensive stance sort of thing, or ignore pain, maybe even a defensive stance sort of thing. But we'll see. I really like the ignore pain thing. That's on my list of things that are exciting. I hope hamstring is off the GCD, and I hope that execute hits harder. But let's look at arms. I could do like a 2-hour video talking about warrior already, but I'm gonna try not to do that just yet. So arms, the armies of Maldraxxus have inspired arms warriors to return to several key martial tactics and abilities. Piercing Howl can now be used by arms warriors, giving them another way to stop enemies in their tracks by dazing them and significantly reducing their movement speed for a short duration. So that's pretty cool. The thing is, like, I want hamstring to be more than just a melee slow, and Piercing Howl to be more like an AoE slow. Like, I want them to be powerful, and hopefully Piercing Howl lasts a little while, like it does on Fury, like has like a long duration. But hamstring being like either a short GCD or no GCD at all would be amazing, because then you could have hamstring be your reliable single target slow, and Piercing Howl could be like an AoE slow that you use sometimes, and so you're not just spamming Piercing Howl instead of hamstring, right? I would like that. Cleave has been redesigned, but it says Cleave talent, so it's like why is it a talent? But I get it, because you'll see it still uses deep wounds, which, so that's still our mastery is deep wounds too. But let me read it. Cleave has been redesigned. After striking 3 targets with Whirlwind, the warrior can use Cleave to strike all enemies in front of the warrior, inflicting deep wounds, a scaling bleed effect. Scaling bleed effect. Is that like scales with mastery or scales with How many times it's applied, we'll find out. That's probably just the same as it is now. The Deadly Calm talent has been redesigned and will completely remove the rage cost of the next 4 abilities, and includes a passive effect that increases the warrior's maximum rage by a moderate amount. So that's interesting. So they're buffing Deadly Calm a little bit, which is something that I think I've used it once on accident, the entire time in BFA. So that's interesting. And it includes a passive effect that increases the warrior's maximum rage. Dreadnought now takes on Seismic Waves Azerite trait. So Dreadnought was a talent, right? Yeah, it was the last row talent. Empowering Overpower to deal damage to enemies in a line. So maybe that's kind of a fun cleave option, but I don't think it's going to overtake Anger Management for anything. When Overpower hits 2 targets with sweeping strikes, Dreadnought causes 2 devastating Seismic Waves, which is kind of what it did already, right? If you sweeping strikes Whirlwind or sweeping strikes Overpower. Okay, it's an interesting thought. We'll see about it. Maybe if it made it put deep wounds on something, that would be good too. But yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like what the deal is with cleave. So after striking 3 targets with Whirlwind, a warrior can use cleave to strike all enemies in front of the warrior. So that's actually like a nerf. You can't just press cleave. You have to strike 3 targets with a Whirlwind first. I don't know. That actually seems bad. The cleave thing, that seems bad. But we'll figure that out. Maybe it's better than I think. But the Dreadnought stuff, like these little talents right here, I'm not overly impressed with this right here, I gotta admit. Piercing Howl is cool, but it needs to have Hamstring messed with. So the arm specific changes that right now I'm not like thrilled about, beyond the fact that this part up here is exciting. This part right here is like, we'll have to get in there and mess around and see what these talents feel like. Okay, Fury. So Fury warriors will find themselves at home in Shadowlands and will be able to perform feats in battle that were previously unfathomable. So Fervor of Battle is a new talent, where the warrior loses themselves to their bloodthirst during Whirlwind, and also slams their primary target and gains additional rage. So this is basically just Fervor of Battle that Arms had, but now it's Fury. But they slam after their Whirlwind. Okay, interesting. Warriors will also be able to learn Onslaught, in which an enraged warrior brutally attacks an enemy for a large amount of damage and generates some rage. Okay, so it's just an enraged only attack that does damage and generates rage instead of spending rage. Huh, okay. Interesting. That could make your rotation different. I think that Rampage is still there. I actually wouldn't mind if they built on the design of BFA in terms of like your rotation and stuff, but just bring back some utility. But we will have to sort of see how ham they're trying to go with this redesign. But let's have a look at Frothing Berserker has been reimagined. Now when the warrior reaches 100 rage, they gain haste and movement speed for a few seconds. That was fun before. Wrecking Ball returns as a talent, which gives the warrior a moderate chance for the next Whirlwind to deal a devastating amount of damage. So like Wrecking Ball plus Fervor of Battle. If it's not in the same tier, it could be kind of fun to use together. Just Whirlwind people down. Fresh Meat now causes Bloodthirst to always enrage you the first time you strike a target with Bloodthirst. Interesting. So that's like for... I mean, that makes sense with the way the talent is, like, what it's called. But definitely loses value if you're not hitting a bunch of different targets, huh? Interesting. Once again, all these things are like subject change, and it's like, I gotta test them out to see how this works, but okay. I think that I'm still most excited about this that I'm seeing, and not like super taken with the talents, but these are probably just some of the first things that they're showing us, right? In their Shining Armor, Prot Warriors are seen as stalwart defenders, but behind the shield stands a cold-blooded tactician. Prot Warriors can now tap into their brutal side with some reimagined talents. Best Served Cold increases the damage of Revenge, with the damage bonus increasing significantly after a successful dodge or parry has made Revenge cost no rage. Okay, interesting. So whenever you get a dodge or parry, you go bow and hit him with a big ol' Revenge. Interesting. Menace has also been redesigned with this theme in mind, empowering Intimidating Shout to cause all enemies to cower in fear for a substantial amount of time, knocking back those that are not the primary target. Huh. Interesting. So does that make it they're feared for longer? How does that work in PvP with a knockback too? Indomitable will passively increase the warrior's maximum health by a moderate amount, and spending rage while the ability is active will also heal their wounds. Okay. Interesting. So it's a self-heal for Prot. And like a increase to HP. That's interesting. Never Surrender increases Ignore Pain by either a moderate amount or significant amount based on missing health. Okay. So lower health you are, Ignore Pain will be buffed. Okay. So the warrior stuff looks cool to me. I think the main thing that I wanted for arms, like right now, I don't mind BFA arms. I don't mind the way the rotation works. I don't mind, you know, I definitely like the way that I mean, like, I like dealing a lot of damage as Arms Warrior. It is a lot of bleeds, but I feel like once you stack Verse, you actually start to hit hard with your abilities too, so something to think about. I just want more utility from Arms. I love Intervene. I would like to have not so much of our utility like Disarm and Spell Reflect be tied up into Honor talents. I just like to have new Honor talents and a reimagined just normal old talent tree, so that we don't have to choose between like having 2 charges and a Stormbolt or a Self Heal, right? I'd love to see charge stun back or a shorter cooldown on charge, because what happened was charge used to have a stun, so it was a long cooldown. They took away the stun, left that a long cooldown, and now it's just like, okay, now we don't even like slow our opponent with charge anymore, and hamstrings on GCD, so things just felt a little bit clunky from that. And I'm not seeing that addressed right now, but it looks like they're just trying to come up with some talents. Yeah, Cleave seems weird. Piercing Howl could be interesting, but hamstring needs to be off GCD. Mastery still being deep wounds is okay. And this overpowered Cleave thing could be kind of fun, but we got to see some different stuff. Fury, I mean, this Onslaught thing is interesting. That's pretty new. So like you get enraged, you press Onslaught, you get more rage, then you rampage. I mean, that can be interesting. It's kind of like procky, you know. Like I like procs. I think it's fun. Like when like an ability triggers another ability, and it changes your rotation to be like, okay, this proc, so now I get to hit this button. I like that. I think that's fun. Frothing Berserker looks cool. Wrecking Ball plus Fervor could be kind of fun. Just big whirlwinds and big slams afterwards. I don't really play a lot of Prot, but I like the idea that Prot is a damage dealing tank, where you're tanky, but you can still smash all these little mobs trying to fight you. And the self heal seems kind of cool too, like on a cooldown. But okay, so that's the Warrior stuff. So far, so good. I still think the most exciting thing about Warrior is all this stuff up here. That everybody hopefully gets Spell Reflect. We get Intervene back. Insane. Shatter is pretty cool too. But we're gonna need some more utility. But goodness gracious, Intervene is such a good start. If we get Intervene and Spell Reflect is just available baseline, that's already like a big plus to me. So with Warrior completed, 17 minutes into the video, I guess we can start on DK2. All right, so let's keep it rolling with DK. So the video is already going to be a long one. We already knew that from the outset. I think I will probably not provide quite as much feedback, maybe, no promises, about all the rest of the classes. But, you know, with me, Warrior is my favorite, and I'm super hyped about that. But I have played other alts, including DK in the past, so we'll see how it goes. Just hopefully you guys are kicking back, doing some dailies, enjoying the update. So let's roll with it. So Death Knight. Former champions of the Lich King, Death Knights overwhelm their foes with brute force and dark magic. In Legion, Death Knights became very narrowly focused thematically around their spec. That's true. Frost Death Knights have an overwhelming majority of their spells be Frost-themed only. In Shadowlands, they're unifying the core Death Knight kit by restoring many abilities back to all specs, including popular utility options from the past. So, general changes for Death Knights. Once these changes are live, all Death Knights will be able to desecrate the ground around them with unholy magic to deal damage to their enemies with death and decay, or neutralize their attacks with an anti-magic zone. So once again, I hope that these things, that makes me think that like the way that they phrased it for Warrior was like a little bit like specialization to me makes me think of talents. But I think but I think that what they mean is like anybody can use it regardless of whether you're Prot, Fury, or Arms. So if all DKs get Death and Decay and AMZ, that's great. That's cool. It makes sense to me. Furthermore, every Death Knight will once again be able to tap into unnatural powers to temporarily turn themselves undead with Lichborn, or use Raised Dead to summon Ghoulish Servant to fight alongside them. So every DK can Lichborn and get a pet. That's interesting. I mean, that makes sense, right? I like the thought process here. That they're like certain things that are like, this is what Death Knight does, regardless of their spec. Makes sense. The new Sacrificial Pact ability enables Death Knights to perform a forbidden ritual, sacrificing one of their undead minions, siphoning their health and causing them to explode and deal damage. So it's probably a self-heal and damage whenever you do that. That's interesting. To see what the cooldown of summoning a pet is. Finally, the Frosty Grasp of Chains of Ice will once again bind enemies. Chains of Ice, 70% slow. All right, that's back, I guess. Crap. Dude, Hamstring needs to be at 80% slow, and it never is removed until you're fully healed. That's what Hamstring needs to do. Anyway, Blood Death Knights. At home in Shadowlands and amongst their fellow dead, Blood Death Knights can learn new abilities and talents. Blood Tap allows Death Knights to consume essence from slain enemies to generate 1 rune. Interesting. And is repeatable whenever a Bone Shield charge is used. Blood Death Knights also get Rune Tap without needing to select it as a talent. Okay. Interesting. So it's we are going to see that kind of stuff happening, whether it's baked into a spec. So if Spell Reflect was baked into Prot, but not Arms and Fury, please give us Spell Reflect. Relish in Blood will significantly heal these bloody bruisers for each active Bone Shield charge and grant 5 runic power whenever Death and Decay is cast, whilst Crimson Scourge is active. So Blood Death Knights, hope you like that change. I don't know what's going on with Blood Decays. For Frost, members of Lich King, Lich King's legendary sword Frostmourne stirs the heart of Frost Death Knights, who can again choose between one-handed weapons or one two-handed weapon to cut down their foes. So everybody's like, I missed two-handed Frost. You guys have two-handed Frost again, or you can use one-handed weapons. Either one. I think that's cool though. I hope that like changes whether like you're doing more damage as Frost Strike or big obliterates. But I remember playing two-handed Frost Decay. It was pretty fun back in the day. Some big old obliterate crits. So you guys can do that once again if you want to. Very exciting stuff. The harsh lessons learned on the frozen tundra of Northrend have manifested into new abilities and talents. The iconic Frostworm's Fury will be accessible to all Frost Death Knights rather than needing to be selected as a talent. This is so good, man. So good. Taking these cool abilities and putting them baseline instead of talents. It does two things. One, it just allows you to have cool abilities. Two, it allows you to select other cool talents. Three, it allows you to redesign the talent tree to have actual cool talents instead of just abilities that you should have anyway, right? So really, really good changes there. Hypothermic Presence is a new talent that halves the runic power cost of abilities for a moderate amount of time, giving the Death Knight the vigor to strike down all who stand against him. That kind of stuff's fun. Just reduce cost to your abilities. You just slam Frost Strikes on people. And probably halves the amount of runes that you need too. No, it's just runic power, so it's Frost Strikes and stuff like that. Okay. While all Death Knights have some control, this is Unholy by the way, and reanimate undead minions, an Unholy Death Knight has chosen to specialize Necromantic Magic, and their abilities should reflect that. All Unholy Death Knights will be able to summon Gargoyle, which was a talent. Now that's baseline, makes so much sense. To bring these flying terrors to their side, Army of the Damned talent returns as an even stronger force with a familiar and faithful recruit, a Magus of the Dead. So using Apocalypse and using that trait to summon the Magus seems like really popular and powerful. So it's coming back as a talent now. These formidable magic wielders have fought side by side with Maldraxxus's Bannermen, and their presence rallies Unholy Death Knights' ghoulish armies, lobbing Frostbolt and Shadowbolt spells at the enemy. Death Coil and Epidemic cast will reduce Army of the Dead's cooldown. I love things like that. Like, I love when an ability or something happens and it reduces the cooldowns. Like, with Anger Management for arms, I mean, and Fury, I guess, spending Rage makes your cooldowns come back up faster. I love that. So something like this is pretty cool, too. So it reduces the Army of the Dead's cooldown, allowing Unholy Death Knights to summon forth a relentless stream of monstrosities into battle. Magus of the Dead will also fight by the Death Knight's side when they cast Apocalypse. Yeah, there it is. Wait, so when does it always... Oh, I see. So Army of the Dead brings out a Magus, so does Apocalypse. Okay, I was about to say, like, well, how does it come out in the first place? Which also benefits from the cooldown reduction whenever Death Coil and Epidemic are cast. Awesome. So Apocalypse also is reduced by Death Coil and Epidemic. Interesting. So Unholy Death Knight's Mastery Dreadblade will benefit both Master and Servant by also increasing the Death Knight's shadow damage and the damage of their minions. Oh, wow. So they're really doubling down on this, like, this Rotten Dot pet class Unholy thing. That's cool. And Frost is going to be, like, more of that upfront damage, even though you can still have a pet. I feel like those changes are done well for DK. That's cool. All right, so Demon Hunter. Demon Hunters were originally added in Legion at a time when all characters were assigned a specialization that or at creation, artifact weapons were made. Each spec feel almost like its own class. It's like 7 a.m. by the way, so I can't read yet. And that's reflected in the Demon Hunter's design. Though there are a number of similarities between Havoc and Vengeance, we feel we can do more to create some common ground, such as sharing a single resource and certain abilities. So Demon Hunters in general, all Demon Hunters now share a single resource, Fury, which channels their fiery hatred into relentless demonic attacks on their enemies. In addition, Immolation Aura, originally a Vengeance-only ability, will be available for all specs. Okay, so great. Demon Hunters will just be standing next to you and dealing damage. Even more face rolling before. Fantastic. Now that'll be fine. Okay, so Havoc Demon Hunters have a new passive, Unending Hatred, which expands their Fury's maximum capacity, letting them get an extra hit in or two. Okay. Dark Slash talent has evolved into Essence Break, which deals chaos damage and significantly increases the damage that both Chaos Strike and Blade Dance deal for a short duration. Okay, so they can hit a couple more times, and they just empower their Chaos and Blade Dance. Dude, Blade Dance. Omega lol. Blade Dance. Buff Blade Dance. Okay. Demon Hunters are... I need to make one, man. They seem really faceful and fun. I just give them a hard time. Anyway, so tank Demon Hunters will see changes to Soul Cleave and their talents to encourage more build variety outside of Spirit Bomb. This includes getting Demonic as a talent option and Fell Devastation as part of their Specialization baseline abilities. Whoa! So Demon Hunters can dish out more destruction than ever before. They get the Devastation. Isn't that like the big AoE? They can do that as tank? Dang. Similar to their Havoc brethren, Vengeance Demon Hunters who choose Demonic will temporarily enter their Metamorphosis form following a Fell Devastation. So they get their demon form even more often. Okay. So Vengeance talents as a whole have been substantially reworked. I love hearing this. I want these talent trees. I definitely need some work. Everything is in the context of warrior for me. So other classes having their talent trees reworked is a good sign. We've combined several popular talents, shuffled others into different locations, and introduced new talents to encourage new build possibilities. That's what needs to happen for everybody. One such talent is the Bulk Extraction, which immediately rips a soul fragment from up to 5 enemies around the Demon Hunter and consumes them. For situations that call for the Vengeance Demon Hunter to take a hit or two, Ruinous Bulwark increases the healing of their Fell Devastation and converts Overhealing into an Absorption Shield that lasts a moderate amount of time. So that sounds like fun for tanks. Seems like bigger changes for the tanks than for the DPS. But I bet more changes are coming for DPS Demon Hunters anyway. I bet it's on their way. So Druid. Druids are the masters of shapeshifting, a versatile hybrid class that can adapt their form to suit a wide variety of situations. And Shadowlands reinforces this core identity by giving them even more flexibility. We're bringing several abilities back to the class and making others more widely available. Most notably, the affinity system has been expanded to offer utility abilities along with passive bonuses. So, general changes for Druid. All Druids will be able to use Ferocious Bite, Barkskin, Cyclone, Stampeding Roar, and Iron Fur. Huh. So they have Barkskin and Iron Fur. Those are both damage mitigation, right? But probably only in bear form for Iron Fur, right? Regardless of their active specializations. In addition, Heart of the Wild has returned as a talent, providing an option for Druids who want to use off-roll abilities during combat. Interesting. The affinity talents associated with each specialization, Balance, Guardian, Feral, and Restoration, also gain an additional utility ability. Interesting. So, Balance receives Typhoon, the knockback. Feral gets Maim, the stun. Guardian get Incapacitating Roar, the little fear thing. The Disorient, I guess. The Restoration can use Ursul's Vortex. Okay, those are cool abilities, and they make sense for each spec. Okay, that's what they have for. Okay, so for Boomkins, solar and lunar empowerments are being strengthened and updated into eclipses. Reminiscent of past expansions like Wrath of the Lich King, Wrath and Starfire will grant each other alternating lunar and solar eclipses for a longer duration, with special moments of celestial alignment allowing both to occur at once. Balanced Druids who master the flow of these eclipses will be able to ensure a period of sustained power to either Wrath or Starfire at key moments of a fight. Star Surge will extend the current eclipse to continue focusing power into either Wrath or Starfire, while Starfall instead extends your Moonfire and Sunfire effects. That makes sense to me. Giving the main arcane power spenders distinct roles based on situation. That's kind of cool. Starfall will also return to its previous design used for Wrath of the Lich King through Warlords of Draenor. So they're going back to the classics here. Instead of needing to telegraph the affected area, Balanced Druids again call down waves of stars, which strike the surrounding ground where they stand, run, or flap for restoration. So it's just around them instead of targeted. That's kind of cool. You can't just throw Starfire at a pillar. You have to actually have to be there. I mean, like that's kind of cool though. But anything that's around you takes more dot damage, so or extends the duration. Maybe that's how it is. Interesting. So Feral has like one thing. Okay, Fierce Felines will see their Blood Talons talent reimagined, tapping into their primal power. When Feral Druids use Shred, Rake, and Ferocious Bite in quick succession, the damage of their next rip will increase dramatically. Okay, interesting. So setting up some burst and then letting it rip with some bleeds. Guardian Druids have been deleted from World of Warcraft. Fantastic, man. I'm so excited about that change. Guardian Druids in Shadowlands can once again, at least they can't go do Arena, how about that? Can once again embrace or bear hug, nice, their brutish side with Berserk, oh, great. Reducing the cooldowns of Mangle, Thrash, Growl, and Frenzied Regen substantially, while also having the cost of Iron Fur. Okay. Renewal also returns as a talent choice, instantly healing the Guardian Druid for a fair bit of their maximum HP. Interesting. Okay. So Bear Druids can kind of pop off with Berserk. Resto, Swiftmen will return to its historic functionality of consuming a heal over time effect on the target, but with a substantially reduced cooldown and cost. Then for moments of special need, the classic Restoration staple, NS, Nature Swiftness, will again allow a regrowth, rebirth, or entangling roots to be cast instantly. Communing with the wild spirits in Death's realm has reawakened Resto Druids' inert knowledge to cast Nourish. Okay, so it was a talent, now it's just in there. A talent option that heals an ally for a significant amount, or is it a talent? Okay. Nourish receives triple the boon from Mastery and Harmony, which increases the healing for each active restoration heal over time effect on target. Okay. So Nourish is back, I guess. But wasn't it there before? Whatever, it's a talent. Okay. Does it say this after every single talent thing? Things are subject to change. Yep, okay. So keep that in mind, guys. Things are subject to change. Here's Hunter. Masters of the Wilderness, hunters draw on a variety of tools such as specialized ammunition and traps that alter the environment to their advantage. Those who master the strategy of chaining their abilities and coordinating opportune attacks with their bestial companions will unleash their full lethal potential. In general, we feel the core Hunter class kit is well realized across all the specializations, yet each plays in a different, fun, unique way. As a result, Hunter's core damage rotations will remain similar in Shadowlands, but several iconic abilities will return and many talents will be updated. I wouldn't mind if that's the case for Warriors too. Like I don't mind Warriors rotation. We just need more utility. So if they're kind of building off that for most classes, then I'm actually pretty excited about that change. So here's what's happening for Hunters in general. Arcane Shot, Eyes of the Beast, Hunter's Mark, Kill Shot, Scare Beast, and Trank Shot will be available for all Hunters to use regardless of their active specialization. So that's pretty cool. Kill Shot and Trank Shot I think is pretty nice. Hunter's Mark's probably pretty cool too. And Scare Beast, that's some neat stuff for Hunters. That makes me think that dude KFC's back, dude. Hunter Warrior Healer, it's like one of my favorite comps of all time. It's back. So to prepare for the fight ahead, all Hunters will have their stable size increase significantly so they can have more pets. Okay. Well, I guess that's true. There's gonna be a bunch of new pets to tame anyway, so they might need it. Luckily, these BM changes. A Beast Mastery Hunter's strength comes from the bond with their companions, who will ruthlessly fight at their side and savagely tear apart enemies. Bloodshed is a new talent that Beast Mastery Hunters can teach their companions, commanding the beast to tear into their target. The unfortunate quarry will bleed significantly, causing them to take more damage from their pet. Huh. Okay. It's a talent, so is it going to do like bleed and make things take more damage? Interesting. Interesting. All right. A Beastmaster's Scent of Blood talent is being reimagined. This passive now activates when Bestial Wrath is used, granting 2 charges of Barbed Shot to bloody a target and empower their bonded beast to take down threats quickly. Okay. I don't really play a lot of BM Hunters, so. But it sounds cool. Venomous Bite takes the place of Spitting Cobra when it comes with a twist. Okay. Bestial Wrath. When Bestial Wrath ends, a Cobra will come to aid the Hunter in combat. The Serpent's power will increase based on how many times they used Cobra Shot during Bestial Wrath. So just spam the heck out of out of Cobra Shot, and it'll summon a big snake to come bite your enemies. Interesting. Marksman. Master Sharpshooters can empower Killshot with Deadeye, a new talent that lets the hunter store 2 charges of Killshot. Pow, pow. That'll be interesting. It also makes aim shot recharge faster for a shorter time whenever Killshot is used. Okay, so that's some pretty scary kill pressure right there for Arena. Binding Shackles is a new passive talent that causes enemies rooted by their baseline Binding Shot to deal less damage to the hunter for a short period of time of being released from the root. Interesting. It makes it an even more powerful peel, for sure. You land Binding Shot, you're rooted for a while, and then when you get out of it, you deal less damage anyway. So that's interesting for Marksman. I feel like Marksman's always been like that. Like, if you can kite well, it's pretty powerful, and that's adding to that. So that's probably a cool thing for hunters. Volley is a new talent that enables marksman hunters to rain arrows down on a targeted area over a short period of time. That also empowers the hunter with trick shots buff, causing all their aim shot and rapid fire abilities to ricochet and hit up to 5 additional targets for half the damage during the entire duration of volley. So that's like a pretty serious AoE ability for or AoE talent for marksmanship hunters. That's kind of cool. Ricocheting shots, that's really neat. I like that stuff. You see a lot of that in action RPGs. I've talked about this a lot, how I think some PvE elements and even like, gear elements crafting elements have been inspired by action RPGs like Diablo and stuff. So seeing more of that kind of stuff actually makes me happy. Because I think PvE is more fun when it's just like a, you know, just blasting mobs. I don't like the slow classic style combat. Like I like classic, but you know what I mean. I don't want to sit there and auto attack something. I want to get in there and blast it. And I feel like when PvE feels like an action RPG, that's my happy place. When it comes to PvE, at least. So survival. To take down the horrors waiting for them in Shadowlands, survival hunters are refining their skills and improving their weapons and gadgets. Expect to see damage increases for Hydra's Bite, Butchery, Steel Trap, Tip of the Spear, and Flanking Strike, along with a reduction in the focus cost for Chakrams, all designed to help them best the beasts they'll encounter in the Death Realm. So that's just like a basic thing. They're just saying, we're just going to have these abilities do more damage. Okay. Okay. Mages. Okay. Alright, mages. Mages manipulate many schools of magic, but focus their power on one in particular. We feel it's important for every mage to have access to spells from Arcane, Fire, and Frost schools, especially for utility purposes. Even if their damage rotation draws primarily from a single source, and to support this, we're making more spells from all three schools class-wide. In addition, we felt that Arcane Mage damage rotation lacked a focal element that results in a big payoff. As such, the combat rotation is undergoing a significant redesign that looks to add this while retaining the overall flow and feel of the spec. Okay, interesting. Alright, so in general, Arcane Explosion, Fire Blast, Frostbolt, and Mirror Image are once again available to all specializations, and Fire Ward and Frost Ward return to bolster Mage's defense. Alter Time also comes back from the past, allowing mages of all specs to show off their temporal mastery. When cast, this spell gives the mage the ability to return to their initial location with the same health and mana after casting it a second time or after a short duration. So you could do some pretty cool stuff with Alter Time. I don't want mages to be even more busted than they already are, but that's pretty exciting for them to have that ability back. Mirror Image, interesting too. I feel like I haven't seen Mirror Image in a while. But everybody can Fire Blast too. Isn't that instant? So they can add some extra fire damage to their rotation. Fire Blast right now for fire is like OP, so mages are looking pretty good, dude. Looking pretty good. All mages can also learn a new talent, Focus Magic, which grants an ally a slight bonus to their spell crit hit chance. In addition, when the ally critically hits with the spell, the Arcane Mage receives... Oh, it's an arcane thing only. Or is it? The Arcane Mage receives the same boon for a short period of time. Okay, so... It says Arcane Mage, but it might just be Mage in general. We'll have to see. Wild, untamed magic wins through the Shadowlands, and Azeroth's most chaotic magic wielders can't wait to channel it. Clear casting now has an additional stack, rendering Arcane Mages even more capable of decimating their foes. Okay. Is that just one thing, like, you know, spells are free, mana cost wise? So Mastery Savant now extends its damage increasing properties beyond Arcane Blast and Barrage to all spells. Holy moly! Watch out now. That's crazy. Touch of the Magi moves from its current place as a talent as a baseline arcane ability. Once again, I like seeing these talents be baseline things, allowing wielders to target an enemy that will take additional bursts of damage from all arcane spells and spread that damage to surrounding enemies. So Arcane Mages, man, they sound pretty good, dude. Pretty good. Enlighten is a new talent that rewards mana management. While the Arcane Mage's mana is above a certain threshold, it empowers all arcane damage dealt by a moderate amount. When below that threshold, it significantly increases mana regen. Okay. That one seems kind of cool. Fire Mage, Fire Blasts. Fire Mages now have more control over how and where or when they spread their Ignite with a redesigned Mastery. Mastery Ignite. Fire Blast now serves as the catalyst. When used against an enemy who is ignited, it spreads up to 8 enemies close to your target. So they're capping Mage AoE? Or no? Maybe not. I mean, if it spreads to 8 enemies, I mean, you can probably spread it to more enemies after that, I guess. But you have to actually use Fire Blast in an interesting way to do it. So that's kind of cool. It uses like a spark to ignite. Okay. Fire Mage's talents are also getting a few updates to help promote different playstyles based on the situation they face. Blast Wave now does more damage, and an increased slow duration helps keep enemies at bay while melting their health away. Great. More slows. Lovely. And Blast Wave is going to be dealing more damage. Okay. For mages who want to watch the world burn, the cooldown reduction provided by Kindling is increased, allowing the mage to get their combustion back faster for maximum critical strike goodness. Dude, that's what mages need. An even shorter cooldown on Combust. Great. The damage bonus that Pyroclasm grants is also being increased, making the reward for casting the next non-instant Pyroblast much more satisfying. Okay, interesting. Frost Mages. With the addition of mirror images and alter time, Frost Mages will have some cool new abilities to weave into their gameplay. One of the more noticeable changes to Frost Mages in Shadowlands is the update to Fury's Winter Chill debuff. No, don't do it, dude. Don't do it. Previously, Winter's Chill was tied to Flurry's movement speed debuff, which created tight windows and required distance checks to achieve the maximum damage bonuses. Moving into Shadowlands, Winter's Chill is now a much longer debuff. No! That causes Frost Mage's X2 spells to treat the target as frozen. A debuff that increases the critical hit chance for the Frost Mage and their allies against target. Okay, so the Frost Mage slows are already a big pain in the butt. And mages are all like, give me deep freeze back, dude. Like, you can't move. Like you're already stunned. Like, you're 90% slowed. Don't need to be stunned. You'll be alright. But I think every mage wants deep freeze back, though. And you know, I feel for him, but you're already like stunned in place with the slow anyway, so whatever. Anyway, Monk. In preparation for their perilous journey into the Shadowlands, monks return to the Peak of Serenity to study, train, and hone their skills. Several abilities from the original version of the class return to all specializations to reinforce their identity as masters of martial combat. In addition, each specialization will receive a unique celestial cooldown ability, reconnecting them with the mystic nature of Pandaria. Alright. So in general, Expel Harm, Fortifying Brew, Spinning Crane Kick, and Touch of Death are available for all monks. Dude, wait, okay, so that means that, like, so I've heard that Touch of Death is, like, old Touch of Death now, where it's like an execute, so you're gonna have Mystery monks running in and whapping people to hit him with the clink, hit him with the execute. Interesting. Additionally, Touch of Death returns to its okay, so here we go. It returns to its original design, killing an enemy with less health than the monk. So it's not less health than the monk, it has to be like 10%, right? Hopefully. Each specialization also gains a unique benefit by dealing damage with Touch of Death. Okay. All three specializations will also be able to summon their Celestial to the battlefield with Invoke Zwen, the White Tiger, Nui Zhao, the Black Ox, and Yulon, the Jade Serpent. Interesting. So I wonder what the unique bonus to dealing damage to Touch of Death is. That's funny. So, oh my goodness, big old Brewmaster notes. Stalwart Brewmaster monks are prepared to do all they can to restore the balance and gain, and again can choose between two one-handed weapons or one two-handed weapon to subdue their foes. Okay, that's cool. They have more weapon options. Brewmaster monks also have returning passive Shuffle, which increases the amount of physical damage that's staggered when the monk uses one of several abilities, including Blackout Kick. Okay, Keg Smash and Spinning Crane Kick. Celestial Brew is a new ability that absorbs damage based on the Imbibers' attack power. Okay. Brewmaster monks can once again challenge their chosen target with Clash, a returning ability that causes both the monk and their target bull rush to each other. Oh, I think I remember this actually. At the epicenter of their conflict, root their opposition for a short duration. Yeah, that's funny. I think I remember that. I think all Brewmaster monks will be able to use Nui Zhao, the Black Ox, to help shoulder Brewmaster's stagger damage. Nui Zhao also deals additional damage based on the stagger damage purified. For Brewmaster monks, not only does Touch of Death instantly kill any creature with less health than the monk, but it will also clear remaining stagger damage. Interesting. Like it can't just be less health than the monk. That's not like Brewmaster monks have like 1,000,000 HP. Okay, like every player will have less than that. But that's not how it works. But we'll see. Brewmaster monks can imbue their brews with divine powers via a new talent, Celestial Flames. Drinking brews has a moderate chance to grant Celestial Flames, which slightly increases Breath of Fire's damage reduction and spreads its periodic damage effect to target struck with Spinning Crane Kick. Okay. So Exploding Keg returns as a talent, immolating enemies on impact and blinding them for a short period of time. Okay, so it's like a CC. Oh, God. Oh, God. Brewmaster monks are going to be so annoying if we have to fight them in PvP. Anyway, I play with Mystery Reavers a lot, and they're really strong right now, so let's see what happens with these guys. All Mystery monks will be able to use Yulon, the Jade Serpent, to summon the... Alright, Rogue. Throughout WoW's history, rogues have always had a broad utility toolkit for damage, control, and survivability. But during the development of Legion, we felt we need to distinguish each of the specs from each other and give them a unique identity. This resulted in us dividing up too much of the rogue kit amongst all three specializations. No, rogues have been busted the entire time. You know what? Their divided up kit was just fine. Let's see what they decide to do. Making each feel a bit thinner than before. Still OP. For Shadowlands, we working to correct this problem by restoring many iconic rogue traits to the base class while preserving much of what's novel about each specialization. So let's take a look. How busted are rogues going to be in Shadowlands? That's the question. The 3 specializations of Rogue share the teachings that they learn while mastering their vicious skills. Assassins teach the basics of poisons, allowing Subtlety and Outlaw to once again coat their blades with instant, crippling, and numbing poisons. Okay. The lost art of well-placed Shiv in a target's side allows a concentrated version of poison to infect the target for a short duration. Pickpocket will frequently uncover new ingredients that can be mixed into their Crimson Vial, augmenting its power next time the rogue drinks it. That's kind of interesting, actually. That's a really neat way of using Pickpocket, buffing their Crimson Vial. Huh. Interesting. Assassination rogues continue their mastery of poisons with the returning Shiv ability, providing a moment of increased nature damage to the victim, mirroring the gameplay of Toxic Blade. Okay. That was a talent. Okay, interesting. Their poisons will be stronger and apply to their blades faster than other rogues, along with always infecting the target when attacking from stealth. Assassination, once again, has access to Ambush as an option for the initial attack from stealth. That's kind of fun. Ambush, I remember Ambush just one-shotting everything in low BPP, so it's an option. It's an option. You usually stun, but you never know. Blindside talent has changed to give the assassin a chance to allow access to ambush even while out of stealth. Huh. With a higher chance on lower health targets. That'd be kind of fun, actually. Proccing ambushes on low health targets. Just execute them. Shiv gets access to another upgrade through Toxic Blade, reducing its cooldown to provide more frequent assaults of increased nature damage. Okay. So Assassination rogues seem pretty cool. Outlaw, ever resourceful and hungry for an edge, Outlaw rogues have traded in the combo point requirement of Roll the Bones for a moderate cooldown, which can be manipulated to line up with their staggering finishing moves. Frantic Combat will reduce the cooldown of Roll the Bones through Restless Blades by spending combo points. Okay. Kidney Shot returns to an Outlaw's toolkit, with Between the Eyes making their foes more susceptible to their critical strikes instead of stunning them. Okay. So it's like a debuff now. Evasion returns as Outlaw's defensive ability, with Riposte becoming an upgraded talent option. Retractable Hook talent is now also increases the speed of rogues. Grappling Hook, getting them where they need to be fast than ever. Okay. Yeah, that's another thing. They gave warriors like slow heroic leap. Well, we need fast leap, dude. But they're actually making a talent to make it like that for rogues. Interesting. Interesting. So they can roll the bones without a cooldown, without combo points? Just press it? Okay. Okay. A modifiable cooldown which can be manipulated to line up with their staggering finishing moves. We need to figure out what's going on with Roll the Bones. Anyway, always looking for an advantage in combat, all Subtlety rogues have mastered the art of Find Weakness, which was a talent before. Attacking from stealth and other abilities allow the rogue to bypass target's armor. So it's just attacking from stealth? What? But also cause additional shadow damage when they're struck by an Eviscerate. Find Weakness can also mark a large number of targets. What? When needed to set up for their new AoE finisher Shadow Vault, which also assaults targets with their Find Weakness for additional shadow damage. Dude, sub-rogues are sounding busted. Shadow Dance grants the power of Dark Shadow, which was a talent, to increase all damage active at the cost of a less frequent dancing. Okay. Interesting. So just more powerful bursts for more powerful goes. Rupture returns as a subtlety damage over time bleed finishing move instead of the shadowy Nightblade. However, they'll still have access to the movement speed reduction and healing reduction through wound and crippling poison. So yeah, subtlety's busted. It's out of control. It gets wound poison back. That's nutty, dude. That's nutty. All right. Okay, rogue's looking pretty good, guys. Pretty good. Shaman. As a class, Shaman have had some of the most distinctive categories of spells in the game. Totems, shocks, shields, weapon imbues, and chain spells. But over time, some have become the domain of specific specializations. In Shadowlands, we're giving these types of abilities back to the entire class. As a player levels up, they'll be exposed to many ways a shaman can interact with elements to overcome their challenges. Okay. Over time, the shaman will discover which of these tools they have the strongest affinity for, and which abilities they'd like to focus on as they master elemental forces. Okay, so in general, for shamans, in Shadowlands, Chain Heal, Chain Lightning, Healing Stream Totem, Flame Tongue Weapon, Flame Shock, Frost Shock, and Lightning Shield will be available for all shamans to use regardless of their specialization. Searing Totem also returns as an ability for all shamans to use, which bombard nearby enemies with fireballs for a short duration. Okay, so Flame Tongue Weapon for all shamans? Flame Shock, Lightning Shield. Okay, interesting. I remember having fun keeping shocks up on my target when I played Enhancement back in the day. Interesting. Okay. So Elemental. The Maelstrom resource and accompanying bar have been removed. This is big time. Remember, we're talking about different, even resources might change for people in an earlier post. This is what they're talking about, I guess. Returning the elemental shamans to their former cooldown management playstyle. When we added Maelstrom to Shamans and Legion, we wanted to improve affordance around the use of Earthshock and Earthquake in the rotation. But the addition of the resource had the side effect of converting the spec into one with builder-spender abilities. Okay. Which comes with a certain built-in expectations in the payoff of its spenders. When an elemental shaman presses Earthshock and it consumes most of their resource, the expectation is that this moment is the peak of the rotation, and there should be a big payoff. But we want the focus of rotation to be about managing your Flame Shock debuff on multiple targets to maximize the potential of Lava Burst through Lava Surge proc. See, that's what I remember playing Ellie Shaman, but right now that they're talking about is like, you just do a bunch of damage, you do consistent damage, and then you hope to one-shot somebody with a massive Earth Shock. But they're going back to this idea of spreading Flame Shock and proccing Lava Burst, which I remember from when I played Ellie just for a little bit. Lightning Bolt and consequently Earth Shock are meant to be a flavorful secondary part of the single target rotation. As such, we're returning to a design that relies on building stacks of Fulmination to determine when to insert Earth Shock into the rotation. Interesting. Similarly, Chain Lightning and stacks of Seismic Thunder will serve to enable Earthquake. Cool. Echoing Shock is a new talent that blasts a target for significant damage and makes it so the shaman's next healing or damage dealing spell cast a second time shortly afterward without costing additional resources. So you can like Echoing Shock and bow bow double tap Earth Shock. Is that the idea? Interesting. Yeah, Ellie Shaman has always been like super procky, you know, like all your buttons light up and you just press it and it's instant, and then like, you know, double tap stuff. Echoing Shock sounds fun, except for when you get one-shotted by Earth Shock, so that's interesting. So Enhancement, this is a big one. As with Elemental, the Maelstrom resource and Maelstrom bar have been removed from Enhancement Shaman. Enhancements will return to a specialization based on managing a number of cooldown abilities with high points built around repeat casts of Storm Strike. So procky. In Shadowlands, Enhancement Shamans who chain certain abilities in combat will see their efforts rewarded when the time is right, and the elements will it. When RNG strikes, with the capacity to unleash a powerful cooldown dealing devastating damage. Maelstrom weapons return, giving each attack a chance to grant a stack of a buff that can be used to make your next healing or damage dealing spell. I remember that. This is like the enhanced one that I remember from like MOP, I believe. Flame Tongue weapon and Wind Fury weapon will once again be applied to enhanced shaman's weapons, imbuing them with power of the elements to suit the situation at hand. Interesting. So I'm not sure what happened with Wind Fury, but it's back or something. The passive bonus provided by Hailstorm has been redesigned so that it resets the cooldown of Flame Shock and Frost Shock when a shaman uses Storm Strike. Interesting. Searing Assault metamorphosizes into a powerful fire attack, striking the foe for a significant fire damage and cause their Searing Totem to cast incredibly fast. Interesting. It also triggers Flame Shock to rapidly dish out its damage over time, burn to melt enemies. Interesting. So it's like increasing your dot damage with Searing Assault. Interesting. While dealing heavy fire damage. Neat. Overcharge now generates 5 stacks of Maelstrom instantly, and other stack every second for a short duration. So you can get those procky heals or procky damage. Stormkeeper will make your next 2 Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning spells instant cast and deal bonus damage. So that's Enhancement having Stormkeeper. Huh. Did it say Stormkeeper up top for all shamans? Or maybe it's just like a town or something. Or just an ability. Yeah, it's just an ability probably. It also benefits from Maelstrom Weapon, lowering Stormkeeper's cast time, so the Enhanced Shaman can chain powerful abilities together to pummel down foes quickly. Dude, Enhancement is back! Elemental Blast is now a talent option for... I remember Ellie Blast being so fun in Temple of Hot Magoo, just whoop, pow, just popping people. When you get Maelstrom Weapon, oh, that's going to be neat. Giving this melee-focused spec access to powerful spells to destroy foes from a distance. It also benefits from Maelstrom Weapon's effect. Yeah, exactly. Which can reduce its cast time or even cause it to become an instant cast. Yeah, man. Enhancement is back, dude. Enhancement is back. Resto. Once Restoration Shaman steps into the realm of ancestral spirits, they will find new ways to tap into elements' powers. Earth Shield can now be used by all Restoration Shaman without needing to select it as a talent. That's good. That makes sense. Earth Shield is always like a Resto, staple. Surge of the Earth is a new talent that expends a few charges of Earth Shield to significantly heal the target's... to heal the current Earth Shield target and several nearby allies. Okay, interesting. So now we got Warlock. Okay, final class, guys. I know it's been a long video, but hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Hope you guys have been kicking back and just listening to all these changes. farming up some AP, you know, doing your thing. Thanks for watching. Warlock. When designing Warlocks for Shadowlands, we had a few core goals. As part of our effort to distinguish classes as a whole, we're bringing back curses that Warlocks can use as proactive, situational tools, satisfying to use in special cases, but not something they should feel obligated to use when fighting every enemy. Interesting. Abilities like Demonic Circle offer unique ways to interact with the world in combat spaces. Okay. Spec-wise, we're making relatively minimal changes to Demonology and Destruction. Okay, because Destro is like bonkers OP. I feel like maybe Demo's okay, but yeah, we definitely need to get Affliction back up to speed, man. As we feel their core rotations and talent options fit well with our goals from Shadowlands. Okay, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, they're out of control. Destro is. It's a god class, so leaving it about alone makes sense. Doesn't need to be buffed. With Affliction, we're making larger changes to bring the Specialization's gameplay more towards managing damage over time effects rather than saving up for a major burst moment. Okay, that's more like AF. I think a lot of locks like playing Affliction, so if it gets back into a good place, I think they'll be happy. Our Warlocks will be able to afflict their foes with Curse of Tongues, Curse of Recklessness, Curse of Weakness, and Curse of Doom. In addition, Warlocks can manipulate space with Demonic Circle, so everybody can port around. Having port baseline again makes sense. That makes sense. Tongue-Tied is a new talent that empowers spells lobbed at targets suffering from Curse of Tongues, causing them to seal the victim from receiving healing effects, forcing them to succumb to all incoming damage for a moderate amount of time. That's nuts. It denies them healing? Oh my goodness. Let's read that again. It's a new talent that empowers spells lobbed at targets suffering from curses of tongues. So how often is it going to deny healing effects? Dude, I feel like Warrior Lock is going to be super back, especially if Warriors still have like Sharpened Blade and stuff. They can reduce healing, deny healing altogether. That's crazy. And it's for all Warlocks too. Watch out now. Unstable Affliction sacrifices its stacking effect to torture its victim longer, and all without consuming a soul shard. Affliction Warlocks can exacerbate the malaise they sow with Malefic Rapture, a new ability that deals damage to all enemies afflicted by their periodic spells. Increased for each periodic effect they have on the target. So it deals damage to all enemies afflicted by their periodic spells and increased for each periodic effect they have on the target. Interesting. So they just like buff their dots. They just do a Malefic Rapture, just make all the dots tick harder. Interesting. New talents will be available for Affliction locks to more effectively drain the life away from their opponents. Sow the Seeds will now embed 2 additional seeds into nearby enemies, which, combined with the new Malefic Rapture ability, can make for some explosive results. So that's like Affliction lock AoE, I guess. So for Demo, Dark Pact will now scale with the spell power to absorb damage to absorb damage more than ever before. Great. Great. That'll be even tankier. Demo locks will also discover that the Dark Fury talent has a new effect. In addition to the cooldown reduction it provides, it empowers Shadow Fury by increasing its area of effect as the spell crashes out of the battlefield. So that's funny. It just makes it have like a larger AoE for Shadow Fury. Huh. Just Shadow Fury the entire map. Let your pets kill everything. Destro. Fire and Brimstone is getting an upgrade in Shadowlands. It now generates 2 soul shard fragments for each additional enemy struck by the Warlocks and Power Incinerate. So not a whole lot going on with locks, but like they said, locks are already busted. We'll keep them that way. We talked about Worry in the beginning. Lots of exciting stuff. Look at us go, man. Only took us about an hour. But we got through all the class changes. And this is only the beginning, man. The great unpruning has begun, and I'm sure we'll see more with talents and abilities and shaped by feedback that we provide. Should be a lot of fun. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Tons more Shadowlands stuff coming soon for you. We got the streams rolling every day, kicking butt in BFA, and when Shadowlands Alpha comes out, if we have access to that, you can definitely expect quite a bit of gameplay coming, as well as news and updates as it is released. So make sure you guys follow the stream, follow me on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, and definitely be sure to subscribe to the channel, enable notifications, and that'll help you stay in the loop as the Shadowlands info and videos keep rolling. But you guys rock. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give the video a big old thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave me a nice comment, and we'll see you guys for the next one. Thanks for watching, dudes, and peace!